Welcome back. Tonight, we're descending into the suffocating darkness of why you wouldn't survive a single night in FNAF 4. The terrifying plunge into a child's nightmare realm, where the innocent sounds of 1983's suburban tranquility conceal horrors birthed from fractured family bonds and the mechanical heartbeat of a family diner gone wrong. You wake in that cramped bedroom, flashlight gripped tight in trembling hands, as the hallways whisper with approaching breaths that drag you into a survival gauntlet where every door slam and light flash determines whether you live to see dawn against the twisted, nightmarish versions of beloved animatronic characters. Forged from a tormented child's deepest fears and traumas, these nightmare creatures transform familiar Freddy Fazbear's characters into ravenous predators, forcing you to listen through your own thundering heartbeat, where a single mistake invites razor-sharp claws and rows of teeth in an escalating cycle of pure dread that mirrors the day's bullying and psychological torment. From the first uncertain moments in that claustrophobic room, to the family scenes dripping with betrayal, to the relentless nights where Nightmare Bonnie stalks from the left, Nightmare Chica rattles from the right, Nightmare Foxy lurks within the closet's shadows, and Freddles gather like evil imps upon your bed, we'll guide you moment by moment through this second-person journey into madness. You'll encounter the emotionally distant father, obsessively tinkering with spring lock suits, endure the older brother's cruel masked pranks that plant the seeds of terror deep in your psyche, and face the golden supremacy of Nightmare Fredbear himself, all building toward the birthday party tragedy that seals your fate forever. This is the haunting story of how a child's imagination, poisoned by real-world cruelties inflicted at Fredbear's family diner, transforms into a deadly reality where survival depends entirely on subtle audio cues, perfect timing under pressure, and a house that breathes with living malice, turning innocent playtime into an endless nightmare of perpetual danger. Whether you're experiencing this canon-accurate nightmare for the very first time, letting the familiar creaks and sinister whispers pull you toward rest, or simply allowing this dark tale to wrap around you like a fading dream as sleep approaches, this complete immersion will carry you through the full, unbroken experience of FNAF 4's twisted universe. Before we begin our descent, feel free to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this type of calm yet unsettling, immersive storytelling that unfolds like a shadowed vigil through gaming's darkest corners. And let me know down in the comments where you're listening from and what time it currently is for you. It's always a quiet fascination to discover how the same horrors weave their way through different corners of our world, one hushed night at a time, connecting us all through shared fears and the universal dread of what lurks in darkness. Let's begin. You stir in the oppressive dimness of a small suburban bedroom, the year 1983 etched into every mundane detail surrounding your awakening consciousness. Posters of familiar cartoon animals peel at their edges on walls that seem to press inward, the room belonging to a child, cramped and utterly ordinary, with a single bed positioned at the center of the space where faint lamplight filters weakly through air that feels thick and difficult to breathe. As your eyes struggle to adjust to the gloom, a distinct metallic tang permeates the atmosphere, seeping insidiously from the vents like residue from distant churning machinery, and your pulse accelerates without any rational explanation, the rapid drumming drowning out the house's subtle creaks and groans that would otherwise provide warning. This disorienting awakening pulls you violently into a world where everything familiar has turned hostile and threatening, where safety has evaporated like morning mist under harsh sunlight. The layout of this prison imprints itself upon your consciousness with terrible clarity, the left door leading to one shadowed hallway filled with unknown threats, the right door opening to another corridor of darkness, the closet positioned straight ahead with its door hanging slightly ajar like a mouth preparing to speak, and the bed behind you with its sheets rumpled and disturbed as if something had recently occupied that space. The cause of your mounting unease stems from the silence that isn't quite empty, that pregnant pause before catastrophe, leading to the effect of heightened senses where every breath you take potentially masks critical warnings emanating from beyond those doorways, where death itself might be approaching on silent feet. On the nightstand beside your bed rests a simple flashlight, its metal casing cool and somehow reassuring to the touch despite the terror building in your chest. This becomes your only defense in this confined nightmare space where technology offers no broader surveillance capabilities, no security cameras or buzzing monitors to rely upon for advance warning of approaching threats. You pick up the flashlight with shaking hands, the beam cutting decisively through the oppressive gloom, revealing scattered toys strewn across the floor that stare back at you with their stitched button eyes like tiny witnesses to your fear. Plush versions of Freddy, the bear animatronic from the diner, Bonnie the rabbit with his elongated ears, Chica the chicken clutching her cupcake, and Foxy the pirate fox with his hook and eye patch, all arranged as if awaiting playtime that will never come. The golden Fredbear plush sits prominently in your trembling hands, noticeably softer than the others, a constant companion that whispers faint reassurances directly into your mind, though no one else can hear these comforting words that may or may not be real. This collection of plushies, tied inexorably to your daily visits at Fredbear's family diner, now amplifies the crushing isolation pressing down upon you, their presence causing a false sense of security that quickly evaporates, resulting in the psychological strain of questioning whether they watch over you protectively or simply observe your growing fear with indifferent curiosity. As shadows lengthen and stretch across the worn carpet, the house itself seems to breathe in rhythm with your own panicked respirations, the vents humming softly in a sound that builds suspense steadily, eroding your fragile calm from within like acid eating through metal. The first subtle hints of movement echo from the darkened hallways beyond your doors, faint scraping sounds like feet dragging deliberately across carpet from the left corridor, a quiet metallic clink like shifting plates or cutlery from the right passage, signaling that the night has truly begun its inexorable encroachment upon your sanctuary. Your heart pounds with such violence that it threatens to burst from your chest, a natural physiological response that nevertheless masks these crucial audio cues, forcing you to strain desperately against your own body's betrayal to detect the approaching threats that mean certain death. The closet door trembles ever so slightly, almost imperceptibly, a subtle precursor to whatever nightmarish entity lurks within those shadows, while the bed positioned behind you feels dangerously exposed, as if small, malevolent forms could gather there completely unnoticed while your attention remains fixed elsewhere. In this setup, governed entirely by the desperate need for precise listening and split-second timing, one misjudged flash of light or premature door closure causes immediate catastrophe, leading to the soul-crushing terror of jump scares that end the night abruptly in screaming failure. The psychological weight presses down upon you like a physical force, suffocating and inescapable. The house that once represented home and safety, now betraying you through its very architecture, turning innocent doors and harmless shadows into instruments of pure dread, where survival depends entirely on unraveling behavioral patterns before they unravel you completely. You step cautiously from the bedroom into the living room during daylight hours, where bright sunlight streams through half-drawn blinds, casting long shadows across the carpeted floor that's cluttered with comic books and scattered toys from yesterday's play. Your older brother, Michael Afton, sprawls casually on the couch with his friends, their faces concealed behind handmade animal masks that mimic the characters from Fredbear's family diner with disturbing accuracy. Bonnie the rabbit, with his purple fabric and long ears, Chica the chicken with her yellow beak, Freddy the bear with his top hat perched jauntily, and Michael's own Foxy the pirate fox mask with its hook attachment glinting menacingly under the lamp's glow. He notices your entrance immediately, tilting his head so the mask's jagged teeth catch the light at a threatening angle, and begins his cruel teasing, his voice muffled but sharp with mockery, ridiculing your visible fear of the animatronics that perform nightly at the family diner. This casual bullying, rooted in toxic sibling dynamics and the power imbalance between older and younger brother, causes a tight knot of anxiety to form in your chest, leading to the effect of retreating further into yourself psychologically, where the already blurred line between playful jest and genuine threat dissolves entirely, amplifying the day's unease into something that lingers like an unspoken warning of worse things to come. The front door creaks open, and your father, William Afton, enters from the garage, his tall, imposing frame filling the entire doorway, still wearing his distinctive purple shirt from his work at the diner's maintenance shop. He carries rolled blueprints tucked under one arm, detailed diagrams of spring lock mechanisms designed for the animatronic suits. His intense focus absorbed completely in technical specifications rather than the rowdy scene unfolding before him in his own living room. He spares only a brief, dismissive glance at Michael's masked group, his expression remaining composed and emotionally distant, as if his mind perpetually resides in the back rooms of Fredbear's establishment, where he obsessively tinkers with endoskeletons and complex wiring systems. When you approach him desperately, words tumbling out in a confused rush about the growing dread emanating from the bedroom shadows that haunt your sleep, he dismisses your concerns with a brief, perfunctory pat on your head, mechanically attributing your fears to an overactive imagination fueled by too many visits to the diner and too much exposure to the animatronic characters. This paternal indifference, stemming directly from his unhealthy preoccupation with work and mechanical obsessions, results in a deepened sense of crushing isolation, where your legitimate concerns echo unheard through empty rooms, fostering a psychological rift that transforms the family home into a place of subtle alienation and emotional neglect. As afternoon light gradually fades into evening shadows, Michael's cruel laughter rings through the house, echoing off the walls like a disturbing prelude to more elaborate torments he casually promises for tomorrow's entertainment. His friends egg him on with their masked grins, feeding his cruelty with their own mockery and jeers. You slip quietly back toward your room, the plush Fredbear pressed against your side in your pocket, its soft fabric serving as a small anchor amid the swirling chaos of family dysfunction. The family's routine continues around you, dinner preparations clinking methodically in the kitchen, television murmuring mindless entertainment in the background, clashing violently with your internal turmoil, creating a facade of normalcy that only heightens the building's suspense. This stark contrast causes the dread to build steadily, like gathering storm clouds, manifesting as a quiet paranoia that every laugh or sideways glance conceals deeper malice, leading to the terrifying realization that those closest to you, your own family members, might unwittingly feed the nightmares waiting in the dark, their thoughtless actions weaving seamlessly into the fabric of your deepest fears, without them ever knowing or caring about the damage they inflict. You settle back into the bedroom as darkness falls, the door clicking shut behind you with terrible finality, and reach instinctively for the plush Fredbear, its yellow fabric softened from countless days of being carried everywhere, a constant presence in your small, trembling hands amid the house's shifting moods and unpredictable dangers. This golden bear, carefully modeled after the star animatronic at Fredbear's family diner, rests gently against your chest, its button eyes reflecting the dim lamplight as you whisper your deepest fears to it in hushed, desperate tones. The taunts from Michael and his masked friends still echo painfully in your ears, a constant reminder of your vulnerability. No one else hears the soft responses the plush offers, gentle tones that manifest directly in your mind, warning of shadows gathering after dark, offering promises of protection that ease the immediate sting of isolation temporarily. These interactions, born from a traumatized child's imagination, intertwined with very real traumas, cause a temporary calm to settle over your racing thoughts. Yet they lead inevitably to the effect of unhealthy dependency, where the plush becomes your sole confidant in a world that doesn't listen, dangerously blurring the boundary between genuine comfort and an omen of the horrific nights ahead, its voice serving as a thread pulling you deeper into the intricate web of mounting unease. Around the confined room, the other plushies stand arranged like quiet guardians on shelves and scattered across the floor. Freddy the bear with his signature top hat, Bonnie the rabbit with his elongated ears standing at attention, Chica the chicken clutching her cupcake companion, and Foxy the pirate fox with his hook and distinctive eye patch. Each represents a miniature echo of the performers at the diner, innocent toys transformed by context into something more sinister. You position them carefully and deliberately, treating them as allies against the hostile outside world, confiding in hushed tones about the masked bullies who circle like predators during daylight hours. These toys, collected from numerous visits to Fredbear's establishment, represent the joyful side of the animatronics that once entertained you. But in moments of stillness, their stitched smiles appear to shift subtly under the fading light, hinting at the psychological distortions your traumatized mind crafts from repeated scares and constant fear. This careful arrangement causes a fragile sense of order amid the chaos engulfing your life, resulting in the psychological tension of false security, where their watchful presence paradoxically amplifies the suspense, serving as constant reminders that even these fabric companions are tied inexorably to the very fears they seem designed to ward off, their soft forms standing as silent witnesses to your growing dread. As evening deepens into true night, you place the plushies on the bed for the long hours ahead, the golden Fredbear positioned at the center, like a general commanding troops, its whispers growing fainter yet somehow more insistent, urgently demanding vigilance against whatever stirs in the halls beyond your fragile doors. The metallic tang from the vents mingles with the faint scent of fabric stuffing and chemical softener, creating an oppressive atmosphere where the room feels simultaneously like sanctuary and trap, safety and danger occupying the same space. Deep down, beneath the conscious thoughts, you recognize these plushies as extensions of the diner's pervasive influence, their innocent forms echoing the mechanical suits your father obsessively maintains. The hidden spring locks and endoskeletons concealed beneath cheerful exteriors that smile while containing potential death. This dawning realization causes a subtle erosion of trust in everything around you, leading to the terror of impending betrayal, where even the barrier these childhood toys provide grows dangerously thin as shadows lengthen and stretch, transforming supposed allies into harbingers of the nightmares that will soon demand your complete, undivided attention. The house's quiet breaths syncing with your own in an ominous rhythm that promises only suffering. The family car pulls into the parking lot of Fredbear's family diner, a modest building with colorful signage enthusiastically welcoming children to its stage shows and entertainment. The parking lot is dotted with other vehicles under the bright 1983 summer sun that seems to mock the darkness you know lurks within. Inside the establishment, the air buzzes with the mechanical whir of animatronics. Fredbear the golden bear and Spring Bonnie the rabbit positioned prominently on the main stage, their suits animated by internal endoskeletons that jerk them into practiced song routines for the gathered children who watch with delight. You linger hesitantly near the entrance, simultaneously drawn to and repelled by their performances. The songs sounding cheerful on the surface, but carrying an undercurrent of mechanical stiffness in their movements, as if the spring locks holding the suits together strain against something unseen and dangerous. Your father disappears into the back rooms almost immediately upon arrival, his role as chief technician evident in how naturally he handles the maintenance tools for adjustments, leaving you to navigate the crowded space alone amid the laughter of other children who don't share your fears. This casual separation causes a subtle disquiet to settle deep in your chest, leading to the effect of heightened vulnerability, where the diner's bright facade begins to crack like old paint, revealing glimpses of the same isolation that permeates the bedroom's encroaching shadows back home. As you edge closer to the stage with reluctant steps, the animatronic's eyes, glass orbs set carefully into furred faces, seem to track your movements with unsettling precision, their gazes mechanical yet somehow piercing, fueling an unease that roots you in place while tears prick painfully at your eyes. Michael and his friends, still bearing traces of their masked antics from home, spot you from across the crowded room and close in like predators sensing weakness, their taunts escalating into sudden jump scares that deliberately mimic the diner's characters. Cruel laughter ringing out as they exploit your visible aversion for their own entertainment. The plush Fredbear in your pocket offers a quiet whisper directly in your mind, urging you to step back from danger, its presence serving as a small counter to the overwhelming stimuli of arcade games beeping insistently and pizza scents wafting from the busy kitchen. This intrusion by familiar bullies in a public space causes the fear to intensify exponentially, resulting in a psychological layering where daytime joys twist sickeningly into precursors of night terrors, the animatronic songs embedding themselves deeply in your memory as distorted echoes that promise to resurface with vengeance when the lights finally dim. Back in the car heading home, the diner's melodies linger persistently in your ears, shifting gradually from playful tunes to something more ominous and threatening as the suburban landscape blurs past the windows in streaks of color. The quiet streets leading back to the house where shadows patiently wait for nightfall seem to mock your temporary escape. Your father drives in complete silence, focused intently on the road ahead, remaining oblivious to how the visit has amplified your dread to nearly unbearable levels, his consuming work with the spring lock suits blinding him to the emotional toll his obsession exacts. The plush Fredbear presses insistently against you through the fabric of your pocket, its warnings now clearer and more urgent, as if the day's disturbing events have somehow charged the air with impending danger, linking the diner's mechanical hearts directly to the breaths you'll strain desperately to hear when darkness falls. This return journey causes the suspense to build gradually but inexorably, leading to the terror of realization that the boundaries between day and night are eroding completely, turning every glance at the animatronics whether real or plush, into another thread, pulling you relentlessly toward the inescapable horrors that define survival in this nightmarish world. You turn a corner in the hallway of the suburban home during a quiet afternoon, the light filtering through windows onto the patterned wallpaper, when Michael Afton suddenly emerges from behind a doorframe like a predator from ambush. His Foxy the Pirate Fox mask is pulled low over his face, its plastic hook raised in mock threat, and he lunges forward with a guttural roar that sounds authentically terrifying, the sound echoing off the narrow walls and filling your ears. This causes you to scream involuntarily and bolt down the corridor, your footsteps pounding frantically on the carpet as his cruel laughter pursues you like an unrelenting shadow that you cannot escape. This sudden ambush, a staple of his persistent teasing rooted in your known fear of the animatronics from Fredbear's family diner, transforms the familiar house into a treacherous labyrinth of hidden dangers, where every doorway and blind spot holds the potential for another strike that sends your heart racing. The cause lies in Michael's playful yet relentless bullying, drawn from sibling rivalry that's been amplified by your visible aversion to the diner characters, leading to the effect of escalating panic that systematically erodes your sense of security within these walls that should protect you. The once safe spaces are now laced with constant anticipation of the next scare, turning home into another battlefield. His friends gather in the living room soon after, donning their own masks with practiced ease, Bonnie the rabbit with its elongated ears that seem to twitch, Chica the chicken with a beak that snaps open and shut, and Freddy the bear with a top hat tilted jauntily. And they circle you menacingly as you try desperately to catch your breath, their voices joining Michael's in a harsh chorus of mockery and ridicule. They poke cruelly at your welling tears, calling you a crybaby for shying away from the bots at the diner, their words sharp and repetitive, echoing the mechanical songs you've heard during your forced visits to that place of torment. This group dynamic, fueled by the masks that mimic the Freddy and Friends performers perfectly, heightens the intimidation factor dramatically, turning a simple gathering into a ritual of exclusion and humiliation, where your vulnerability becomes their entertainment and your pain becomes their pleasure. The cause stems from the shared props tied directly to the diner's theme, resulting in a deepened psychological wound where the taunts plant seeds of doubt about your own resilience and worth, the laughter blending with the distant hum of the house's vents to create a suspense that lingers long after they finally disperse to other activities. You plead desperately with Michael to stop, your voice breaking as you back against the wall with nowhere left to retreat. But he grabs your arm roughly and guides you toward the bedroom door, shoving you inside with a mocking chuckle and turning the key in a lock that suddenly feels like a prison cell door slamming shut. The darkness envelops you immediately, thick and pressing, like a living thing that wants to suffocate you, the confined space amplifying every sound, the creak of the house settling, your own ragged breaths that mirror the audio cues that will haunt the nights ahead. The isolation stretches seconds into eternities, time losing all meaning in the darkness, until he finally unlocks the door with casual indifference. Your father, William Afton, passes by during this imprisonment, intervening with a mild reprimand to Michael to ease up, his tone half-hearted and lacking any real authority as he quickly returns to his blueprints of spring lock mechanisms, his distraction painfully evident and hurtful. This brief confinement causes a lasting tremor in your hands that won't fade, leading to the terror of eroded trust, where even daylight hours harbor shadows of betrayal, and you retreat immediately to the bed, clutching the plush Fredbear with desperate intensity, its whispered warnings now resounding clearly that those meant to protect you can morph seamlessly into sources of your deepest fears. As the house settles into darkness and the clock ticks past midnight in 1983, you lie rigid in the small suburban bedroom, the posters on the walls fading into indistinct shapes under the faint glow filtering weakly from the window. The doors to the left and right halls stand slightly ajar, inviting the night's oppressive quiet to seep in like poison gas, while the closet ahead remains still for now, its outline serving as a silent promise of later intrusions that will test you. You grip the flashlight on the nightstand, its beam ready to pierce the suffocating gloom. But survival here demands far more than light alone. It requires attuning your senses to the subtle audio cues that signal approach, the deep inhales from the shadows that your own panicked breathing constantly threatens to obscure and mask. The metallic tang from the vents grows stronger with each passing minute, mingling with the familiar scent of the plushies scattered on the floor, reminders of Fredbear's family diner that now anchor you to this terrifying vigil. Faint scrapes echo from the left hall, a dragging sound like heavy feet on carpet that causes your muscles to tense in painful anticipation, leading to the effect of fragmented focus, where every hesitation invites certain peril, the house transforming from refuge to arena where you fight for survival. As the first legitimate threat stirs in the darkness, you shift cautiously to the left door, pressing your ear against the cool wood surface, the temperature grounding you slightly as you listen intently for the rasping breaths that indicate Nightmare Bonnie's proximity. His form represents a twisted manifestation of the rabbit animatronic, warped beyond recognition by daytime fears stemming from Michael's masked taunts that have poisoned your mind. If the inhale lingers too long without decisive action, you hear claws scratching threateningly at the frame, forcing a swift door slam to repel him temporarily. The mechanism clicking shut with a finality that stuffs the air but buys only precious moments of safety. Delay the close even slightly, and the door gives way to jagged teeth filling the entire threshold, his form lunging forward to end everything. Act prematurely without hearing the confirming sound, and you waste precious time and energy you cannot afford to spare. This mechanic, rooted in precise timing against audio signals rather than visual confirmation, causes a cascade of adrenaline that clouds rational judgment, resulting in the psychological strain of constant self-doubt, where the plush Bonnie on the floor seems to mock your efforts with its stitched eyes reflecting the flashlight's glow as the hall falls silent again, only to build suspense anew with each reset of the pattern. The right hall soon joins this symphony of terror, a distinct clinking noise like kitchenware shifting on tile heralding Nightmare Chica's steady advance, her beak and feathers serving as distorted echoes of the diner's chicken performer, amplified by the cupcake clutched permanently in her grasp. You alternate frantically between doors, shutting one while desperately monitoring the other, the room growing warmer and more confined as your choices narrow dangerously. The bed behind you remains quiet in the background for now, but you sense its presence like a target painted on your back. Survival hinges entirely on this precarious balance, listening solely to audio cues without any visual confirmation of threats. Yet each decision pulls at your divided attention like hands tearing you apart. The cause of this mounting pressure lies in the overlapping cues, different breaths intertwining like threads in a tightening web, leading to the terror of inevitable slips where one hall's temporary retreat signals another's surge forward. The plush Chica watching from the bed as exhaustion creeps in steadily. And by the time morning finally arrives, your senses are sharpened yet frayed, the night's brutal lessons etched into every subsequent breath you take. The clock edges toward the deeper hours of night one, the suburban bedroom enveloped in a hush that's broken only by your strained breaths, the flashlight clutched desperately in your hand as you pivot toward the left door, its frame serving as a flimsy barrier against the hall's encroaching void. A tall shadow begins to coalesce there with terrible purpose. Nightmare Bonnie materializing as a hulking distortion of the rabbit animatronic from Fredbear's family diner, his fur matted and patchy, ears twitching with unnatural rigidity, born directly from the day's masked taunts by Michael's friend in the Bonnie mask that seemed so harmless in daylight. His approach announces itself through distinctive rasping inhales like fabric tearing slowly over corroded metal, a cue that demands you listen past your pounding heart, the metallic tang from the vents sharpening the air as if to heighten every sense to painful levels. You press your body against the door, wood cool under your palms, waiting for the breath to peak before slamming it shut with all your strength, knowing that mistiming the close by even a second causes his form to surge forward with impossible speed, leading to the effect of a deafening jump scare where his serrated teeth dominate the doorway completely, ending the fragile hold on survival and resetting the night's terror in an instant of overwhelming panic that leaves you gasping. In the brief lulls between his relentless advances, you catch your breath as best you can, the room's shadows playing cruel tricks as the plush Bonnie on the floor seems to shift its gaze accusingly, linking this nightmare directly to the daytime bullying where the masks circled you with jeers and mockery, warping innocent childhood play into fuel for these manifestations. Nightmare Bonnie retreats with low, guttural grunts if repelled correctly, his claws scraping the floor as he fades back into the hall's darkness. But he returns with increasing speed that tests your reactions, forcing a rhythm of constant checks that divides your attention dangerously from the right door and the still quiet bed. This persistent cycle, governed by audio precision rather than visual confirmation, causes a buildup of suspense where doubt creeps in like poison. Did the breath truly stop? Or does he linger just out of sight, waiting patiently for your guard to drop? The result is a psychological erosion, turning the left hall into a focal point of obsessive fixation, where overcommitment to one threat invites others to close in unnoticed, the house's architecture conspiring to amplify isolation into a web of interdependent dangers that seem designed specifically to break you. The hours stretch endlessly on night one, the suburban bedroom serving as a cocoon of tension where the flashlight's beam sweeps intermittently, your ears tuned desperately to the dueling halls as the left side quiets after Nightmare Bonnie's retreat, only for the right door to stir with new disturbances that demand immediate attention. A soft clatter emerges from that corridor, like plates shifting on a tile floor, heralding Nightmare Chica's arrival with dreadful certainty, a grotesque amplification of the chicken animatronic from Fredbear's family diner, her beak parted in perpetual hunger, feathers slicked with shadowy residue that evokes kitchen scents twisted into decay from your diner visits. Her breathing manifests as a wet, clacking inhale, a signal that pierces the room's hush, compelling you to position yourself at the door, the wood vibrating faintly under your touch as you gauge the precise moment to act. The cupcake accessory in her grasp glows dimly, a deceptive element that draws the eye but offers no mercy whatsoever, its presence tied to the diner's thematic props now warped by the bullying taunts of Michael's friend in the Chica mask. This auditory cue causes a split in your focus, pulling dangerously from the left hall's lingering threats, leading to the effect of compounded suspense where ignoring her advance invites a burst through the door, her screech filling the space and culminating in a jump scare that shatters the night's fragile equilibrium completely. In the pauses between her approaches, the room's air thickens with the metallic tang from the vents, the plush chica on the bed staring back as if to remind you of the daytime origins. The circling jeers and masked faces that planted these fears, distorting innocent characters into nocturnal predators. Nightmare Chica alternates seamlessly with Nightmare Bonnie, their patterns interlocking to demand constant vigilance, her clatters syncing with his rasps in a rhythm that tests your ability to track multiple sources without visual aids. Slam the door at the breath's peak, and she withdraws with a muffled cluck. But delay the close even slightly, and she forces entry, her form dominating the threshold with beak and claws extended. This mechanic emphasizing audio over sight causes a psychological layering of doubt, resulting in the home's betrayal amplified, where the right hall becomes a conduit for concentrated dread. The flashlight's beam steady as checks accumulate, turning survival into a dance of precision amid the growing web of interconnected perils. As the encounters persist, Nightmare Chica's essence ties back to William Afton's maintenance on the animatronic suits at the diner, the spring locks and endoskeletons beneath their exteriors now fueling these manifestations. Though the immediate horror overshadows any deeper understanding, each repulsion buying time, yet her returns grow fiercer, the clinking more insistent, forcing balance with the left door while other spaces remain quiet for now. The cause of this escalation lying in the overlapping breaths that mimic the house's own settling sounds, leading to the terror of misattribution, where one wrong judgment invites her full intrusion. The morning after night, one dawns with muted light filtering through the bedroom curtains. The suburban house in 1983 standing silent as the family prepares to leave for the day, their footsteps echoing down the halls toward the front door. You remain behind, confined indoors by unspoken rules, or perhaps your own lingering exhaustion from the previous night's vigils, the doors locking with a click that seals you in solitude amid the familiar rooms now stripped of their usual bustle. Michael's parting gesture, a final taunt before departing, his words mocking your fears of the animatronics from Fredbear's family diner, lingers in your mind as you wander the empty spaces, the echoes twisting like remnants of his foxy mask scares. This isolation, imposed by the family's routine outings to the diner or errands, causes a quiet amplification of dread, leading to the effect of heightened awareness, where every creak in the floorboards mimics the audio cues from the halls, turning the home into a vast, echoing chamber that presses in with the weight of unattended shadows. You drift through the living room and kitchen, eventually crouching under furniture like the couch or table, practicing the art of listening for imagined footsteps, your ears straining against the hum of appliances as if rehearsing for the bedroom's demands. The plush Fredbear tucked in your pocket offers whispers in your mind, strategies for timing door checks or flashing the light precisely, its voice a soft guide drawn from the diner's golden bear animatronic, now a solitary ally in this daytime rehearsal. The clock advances into the second night, the suburban bedroom in 1983 cloaked in deeper silence after day two's isolation, the left and right doors bearing faint scratches from prior encounters as you settle back into position with the flashlight at hand. A new disturbance arises from the closet straight ahead, subtle creaks and shifts like wood protesting under weight, signaling Nightmare Foxy's emergence. A pirate fox animatronic from Fredbear's family diner, distorted by the daytime lunges of Michael's foxy mask that haunts your waking hours. You approach cautiously, the beam sweeping the doors to reveal initial glimpses. First his glowing eyes, then the hook extending menacingly, progressing to his full tattered form if left unchecked. This phased intrusion, governed by timed flashlight exposures, causes an immediate diversion of attention from the halls, leading to the effect of fragmented vigilance where the closet demands a dedicated rhythm. Check, expose briefly to regress him, close if advanced, while the metallic tang from the vents sharpens, underscoring the house's role as an active participant in the unfolding peril. Excessive shining accelerates his charge, the hook slashing forward in a blur that ends with teeth clamping the threshold, while allowing unchecked progress allows him to advance through phases toward a closet jump scare, his eye patch flipping as he nears the doors. You reset the loop methodically, opening the closet doors after each repulsion, the mechanism clicking softly to expose his position anew. But each cycle steals precious seconds from monitoring Nightmare Bonnie's rasps on the left or Nightmare Chica's clatters on the right. This mechanic, unique to the closet's confined space, causes a surge in physical strain, your arms aching from repeated motions, resulting in the psychological buildup of gambling odds, where one overexposure invites immediate doom, and neglect fosters hidden threats that strike unpredictably. The night's tension mounts in layers, Nightmare Foxy's advances syncing unpredictably with door threats, forcing a symphony of rotations. Hall check, closet peek, bed glance, that test the limits of divided focus. Midway through Night 2, as the closet creaks with Nightmare Foxy's phased retreats, and the halls echo faintly with breaths from Nightmare Bonnie and Nightmare Chica, a subtler disturbance stirs behind you on the bed, tiny scuttles like claws on fabric, signaling the gathering of Freddles, diminutive versions of Nightmare Freddy manifesting as shadowy imps drawn from the bear animatronic at Fredbear's family diner. These small forms accumulate gradually, their presence tied to the plush Freddy on the floor, warped by daytime taunts from Michael's friend in the Freddy mask that seed these nocturnal intrusions. You turn swiftly, flashlight beams sweeping the sheets to catch their glowing eyes and disperse them before they reach critical mass, the light causing them to scatter with faint pops, but each check pulls your gaze from the doors and closet where threats continue unchecked. This mechanic of accumulation, rooted in neglect of the bed's vulnerability, causes a ripple of distraction across the room, leading to the effect of mounting pressure where divided attention fractures dangerously. The Freddles' giggles rise in pitch as they reform, mocking your hurried rotations, their sounds blending with the house's settling groans in 1983's quiet suburbia, forcing you to balance this new loop amid the established rhythms of hall breaths and closet shifts. Ignore them too long and they summon Nightmare Freddy in full, his massive form erupting from the bed with top hat tipping in the shadows, teeth bared in a grin that ends the night if not preempted by timely flashes. This summoning process, triggered by unchecked buildup, causes adrenaline to spike in unpredictable waves, resulting in the psychological strain of perpetual motion, where the bed's exposure demands inclusion in every cycle. Left door, right door, closet, bed, transforming the room into a web of interdependent threats, each giggle a thread tightening the noose of suspense around your frayed focus. Between the rigors of Night 2 and the approach of further trials, the scene shifts to a narrow hallway within the suburban home. The dim overhead light casting elongated shadows on the checkered floor, marked with red X symbols in 1983's quiet hours. Plush Trap, a diminutive spring-loaded rabbit animatronic resembling a twisted toy from Fredbear's family diner, perches motionless on a distant chair at the corridor's end, his fabric body coiled like a trap ready to spring. Teeth glinting faintly under the bulb, a timer begins its countdown, the ticks echoing softly as you ready the flashlight, the beam your tool to interrupt his leaps toward you. This interlude minigame, inserted as a brief diversion amid the bedroom's defenses, causes a momentary reprieve from the hall's breaths and closet's creaks, yet it leads to the effect of redirected tension, where success in halting Plush Trap precisely on the central X grants a 2-hour skip in the night's clock, easing the endurance required against Nightmare Foxy or the Freddles. You watch as Plush Trap launches erratically, his bounces unpredictable along the floor, propelled by internal springs that mimic the diner's mechanical joys now corrupted into this punitive play. Flash the light at the exact moment he crosses a mark, freezing him mid-air with a mechanical stutter, but time it wrong, too early or late, and he advances closer, his stare fixed with unblinking eyes that pierce the gloom. Upon success, as Plush Trap holds perfectly on the X, the timer halts with a satisfying click, the skipped hours offering fleeting victory that restores a measure of control before returning to the bedroom's web of threats. Sunlight slants through the living room windows of the suburban home on day 3, the year 1983 unfolding with the family's morning routines, giving way to Michael's persistent pursuits, his footsteps thudding across the carpet as he calls out in mock hunts that echo the foxy mask ambushes from before. You dart behind couches or under tables, the fabric and wood providing scant cover in spaces now mapped like the bedroom's defensive layout. Each evasion a calculated move to avoid his grasping hands and laughter that twists into something sharper. These chases, sparked by his unrelenting sibling rivalry tied to your diner fears, cause your breath to quicken in patterns mimicking the night's audio cues, leading to the effect of real panic bleeding into play, where the house's furniture becomes both shield and trap. Peeking from your hiding spots, you recall your father, William Afton, at the diner the other day, his tall frame bent over a workbench cluttered with animatronic parts, endoskeletons, wiring bundles, and spring lock components salvaged from Fredbear's family diner. Tools click rhythmically in his hands, adjustments to gears and locks proceeding with intense focus, the sounds resonating like the scraping claws or clattering plates from Nightmare Bonnie and Nightmare Chica's approaches. This memory of his work, a routine extension of his technician duties, causes a chill to settle despite the warmth of the day, resulting in budding questions about the origins of your terrors, where the mechanical precision on display links directly to the warped forms haunting your nights. The third night descends upon the suburban bedroom in 1983, the walls bearing invisible scars from prior vigils as you assume your position with the flashlight, its beam now a familiar extension of your will amid the encroaching dark. Nightmare Bonnie and Nightmare Chica return with heightened urgency, their breaths shorter and more insistent, rasps from the left hall and clatters from the right, converging faster than before, manifestations warped from Fredbear's family diner animatronics and Michael's masked taunts. This escalation in speed, driven by the accumulating traumas of daytime bullying and previous nocturnal failures, causes Dr. decisions to compress into split-second judgments, leading to the effect of overwhelmed senses where audio cues overlap like a cacophony. Nightmare Foxy asserts dominance from the closet, his phases advancing with bolder rattles, the hook and eye patch emerging quicker as creaks demand more frequent checks, pulling your focus amid the hall's intensified assaults. The Freddles on the bed multiply at an accelerated rate, their scuttles and giggles demanding swift dispersions before summoning Nightmare Freddy, his top hat a looming shadow in the periphery. These intertwined mechanics, rooted in the bedroom's layout and the diner's endoskeleton designs glimpsed through William Afton's work, cause a surge in rotational demands, left door, right door, closet, bed, that strain your physical limits, resulting in the psychological terror of inevitable lapses where one unchecked breath or giggle propagates a chain of intrusions. The family returns to Fredbear's family diner on an ordinary afternoon in 1983. The building's colorful exterior giving way to the familiar hum of arcade machines and chatter. As you slip away from the main area, drawn toward the stage's edge where shadows pool under the spotlight, you crouch behind a partition, hidden from view, as your father, William Afton, appears from the back rooms, his purple shirt distinct amid the dim maintenance area. Assisting an employee into the spring Bonnie suit, a golden rabbit animatronic designed for dual use as both robot and wearable costume. The process unfolds methodically, William's hands guiding the springs and locks into place with practiced ease, the clicks echoing softly like distant mechanisms stirring to life. This routine demonstration, rooted in the diner's operational needs for performers like Spring Bonnie alongside Fredbear the bear, causes an inexplicable chill to trace your spine, leading to the effect of unspoken unease where the suit's dual nature, mechanical hearts beneath fabric, begins to imprint as a veiled threat. Unnoticed in your hiding spot, you watch the springs lock with final snaps, the employee's form now encased in the Spring Bonnie suit, its ears perking up as internal endoskeletons align. William steps back to inspect with a nod before vanishing deeper into the workshops, the dim light casting elongated shadows across the floor, highlighting the purple hue of his shirt that stands out against the metallic tools scattered nearby, a detail that lingers in your mind without clear reason. This proximity to the routine, tied to William's technician role in maintaining the spring lock mechanisms, causes a subtle disquiet to build, resulting in the psychological imprint of hidden perils, where the suit's cheerful exteriors mask potential dangers. The afternoon of Day 4 draws you back to Fredbear's family diner, the building's cheerful facade masking the hum of activity inside as families gather around tables, the stage empty for maintenance while arcade lights flicker in the background. Michael Afton and his friends, their masks tucked away but mischief evident in their grins, spot you wandering near the back corridors and seize the moment, herding you toward the parts and service room, a dimly lit storage area cluttered with spare animatronic suits, hollow heads staring from shelves, and tangled wires from endoskeletons. With a shove, Michael locks the door behind you, the click resounding like a final seal, his laughter muffled through the wood as he calls it a harmless prank tied to your ongoing fears. Darkness envelops the space immediately, the air thick with grease and metal, echoes of your breaths bouncing off the walls in rhythms that mimic the nightmare inhales from the bedroom halls. You bang on the door with small fists, the impacts reverberating through the confined area, tears streaming as pleas escape your lips, the sounds swallowed by the thick walls lined with tools and blueprints for spring lock mechanisms. Shadows play across the spare suits, Fredbear's golden fur draped over a rack, Spring Bonnie's ears casting elongated silhouettes, tricks of the low light making them seem to shift, as if endoskeletons within stir with hidden life, their glass eyes reflecting faint glimmers from a distant vent. This entrapment, rooted in Michael's taunts that exploit your traumas from previous locks like the bedroom at home, causes a surge of helplessness that sharpens your senses, resulting in the psychological terror of perceived animation where inanimate parts become threats. The fourth night unfolds in the suburban bedroom of 1983, the air heavier with accumulated strain as you grip the flashlight, its beam cutting sharper paths through the gloom after Day 3's watchful hiding and the diner's shadowed glimpses. Nightmare Foxy claims prominence from the closet, his phases accelerating, eyes glowing first, then hook extending, full form lunging with pirate ferocity drawn from Michael's foxy mask, ambushes at home, and Fredbear's family diner. Creaks demand repeated checks, each sweep of light regressing him only partially, forcing a cycle that devours time amid the hall's persistent threats. Nightmare Bonnie and Nightmare Chica flank with aggressive coordination, their breaths overlapping in deceptive layers, rasps from the left intertwining with clatters from the right. Shorter intervals demanding swifter slams that stuff the room's air. The frettles on the bed add their pressure, gathering faster with giggles rising in pitch. Small shadows summoning Nightmare Freddy if unchecked, his top hat emerging like a crown from the linens. These converging elements, tied to the diner's endoskeletons and William Afton's spring lock adjustments witnessed earlier, cause a heartbeat spike that masks cues, resulting in the psychological terror of cascading risks, where one overlooked inhale or scuttle invites multiple breaches. The morning of day 5 pulls you once more to the suburban home, the year 1983's summer heat mingling with the scent of breakfast and dust as family moves through the space, the rooms hosting familiar routines with furniture casting shadows in the light. Michael's friends, their faces flushed with excitement from their games, spot you near the living area and close in, their hands grabbing your arms to scare and chase you under the table. A cramped hiding spot littered with crumbs, tangled cords, and discarded toys from past plays. You cry out as you crawl beneath it, the darkness immediate and suffocating, the space narrowing like a coffin where every shift scrapes against wooden legs. Vibrations from the family's movements pulse through the floorboards above. The thuds of footsteps and furniture shifts resonating like heartbeats in the confined air. Cords brushing your skin as you huddle, pleas lost in the din. Michael's voice filters down from above, mocking your tears with promises to find you soon, prolonging the ordeal as laughter from his group joins the chorus, their words twisting like extensions of the bedroom's audio cues from Nightmare Fredbear's laughs. You finally crawl out after what feels like hours, light returning as Michael's hand reaches to pull you out, his expression shifting to unease amid the house's familiar rooms. But you bolt away shaken, weaving through furniture toward the bedroom. Following the under-table trauma at the suburban home, the fifth night descends into the suburban bedroom in 1983 with an oppressive haze that blurs the edges of reality. Your body heavy on the bed as accumulated exhaustion pulls you deeper. The room's familiar layout. Left hall, right hall, closet, bed, now distorted like a fading memory. Nightmare Fredbear emerges as the sole dominant threat, his golden form capable of appearing in any of the room's vulnerable spots. Requiring a blend of audio cues for closing doors against his hall approaches and strategic use of the flashlight to repel him from the closet or bed when his distinctive laugh signals his location there, creating a unified threat that demands versatile defenses. He materializes in the halls, alternating between left and right without predictable patterns, his booming laugh reverberating through the walls like thunder in a confined space, pulling you into a survival loop where every door slam and light flash decides your fate against this twisted echo of the beloved animatronic. Nightmare Fredbear's movements defy the established rhythms, his massive frame filling the doorways with jagged teeth and claws extended, breaths deep and deceptive that demand listening past your racing pulse to slam the door at the exact inhale's end. He switches halls randomly, the left corridor's drag giving way to the right's stomp without warning, his laugh echoing as a psychological taunt that masks subtler sounds while signaling you to immediately check the closet first by shining the flashlight to push back his advancing form, if present or if absent, to swiftly turn to the bed and shine the light to repel his glowing eyes and head emerging from the sheets before he can strike. This randomness causes a surge in instinctual responses, resulting in the terror of unmet patterns where over-reliance on audio alone heightens errors. As dawn approaches, exhaustion claims you fully, the room falling still after Nightmare Fredbear's final withdrawal, his steps fading into silence that leaves your limbs heavy and mind blurred from the unrelenting audio demands. Nightmare Fredbear's intrusions from the bed are repelled in the last flashes of the flashlight, his threats secondary but persistent in its comprehensive nature. The bed tainted anew as a site of overlooked peril where his glowing eyes could emerge unnoticed if laughter is ignored. This culmination, influenced by the arc of hardening from Day 4's trap, causes a subtle fracture in resolve, leading to the effect of accumulated depletion where no victory feels complete. The morning light of the birthday dawns through the suburban windows in 1983, the house stirring with a tension that coils tighter after Night 6's deepening haze. Your nerves frayed from the translucent assaults of Nightmare and the lingering echoes of Nightmare Fredbear's golden dominion. You move through the rooms with hesitant steps, the plush Fredbear clutched in your hands, its fabric a worn talisman against the day's mounting pressure. Whispers in your mind growing urgent with warnings of gathering shadows at Fredbear's family diner. Michael hovers in the kitchen, his usual smirk tempered by a subtle unease, his voice lower as he mentions planned surprises for the party, hints of pranks with his friends that now carry an undercurrent of hesitation drawn from the escalating bullying. Your father, William Afton, is absent, preparing at the diner with blueprints and tools for the spring lock suits, checking mechanisms with methodical clicks that echo the diner's endoskeletons, his focus absorbed in ensuring Fredbear and Spring Bonnie perform flawlessly for the event. Michael's friends arrive soon after, their masks, Bonnie, Chica, Freddy, Foxy, tucked under arms like props ready for use, their laughter ringing as they cluster in the living room, eyes glinting with anticipation for the drive to the diner. The car ride to Fredbear's unfolds in heavy silence, suburban streets passing in a blur, the plushies left behind on the bedroom floor, their absence completing your isolation amid the masked group. The diner buzzes with energy on your birthday in 1983, Fredbear's family diner packed with children in party hats, their cheers rising amid the clatter of plates and the mechanical songs from the stage where Fredbear the Golden Bear and Spring Bonnie the Rabbit perform their routines, endoskeletons whirring beneath furred suits. You navigate the crowd hesitantly, the air thick with pizza scents and laughter, your hands empty without the plush Fredbear left at home, its absence a void that amplifies the diner's familiar unease. Michael's friends cluster nearby, their masks stowed but grins sharp, whispering plans that carry over the noise, their eyes locking on you as the performance peaks. They close in suddenly, Michael's group grabbing your arms and legs with firm grips, lifting you high toward Fredbear's open mouth as a supposed kiss for the birthday child. The crowd's cheers swelling into encouragement while you struggle against their hold, tears streaming down your face in pleas that drown in the uproar. The golden jaws loom closer, teeth gleaming under the spotlights, the animatronic's programmed motions continuing unaware, its breath a mechanical wheeze from internal fans that mimics the nightmare inhales you've strained against at night. Michael's laugh rings out initially, confident in the joke's harmlessness, but falters as your head nears the maw, the bully's momentum carrying you too far, the spring locks straining with an audible creak before giving way with a sickening crunch. Chaos erupts in screams and scattering feet, blood warm on your skin as pain blooms sharp and overwhelming, the world tilting in a blur of faces and lights, Fredbear's form frozen in its cycle while the bullies stand in shock, too late to prevent the tragedy. The haze at the hospital room envelops you after the chaos at Fredbear's family diner, machines beeping steadily in the dim light of 1983, their rhythms a mechanical counterpoint to your fading breaths, tubes and monitors clustering around the bed like silent guardians. Pain lingers from the bite, a sharp echo of Fredbear's jaws closing inadvertently during the prank. Blood and screams from the party now reduced to muffled memories as sedatives pull you under. Your brother Michael appears at the bedside, his face pale without the foxy mask, voice cracking with remorse as he leans in close, apologizing for the taunts and lifts that led to this. His words tumbling out in a rush born from the sudden weight of consequence. The plush Fredbear materializes in your blurring vision, its golden fabric a soft glow on the nightstand, its voice a whisper that echoes the diner's golden bear, now twisted by the bite's trauma, drawing you into the final moments where companionship dissolves amid the encroaching void. Around it, the other plushies, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, fade one by one, their forms dimming like lights extinguishing in sequence, dying in the hospital as a canon marker of innocence lost. Then, in the enveloping darkness that follows, the plush Fredbear remains briefly to deliver its final whispers. We are still your friends. Do you still believe that? I am still here. I will put you back together. Before it too vanishes entirely into the darkness, leaving only the profound emptiness of severed bonds and unspoken farewells in the haze of fading consciousness. The flat line draws near, a steady tone piercing the haze as nightmares bleed into reality. Visions of Nightmare Fredbear and his translucent variant flickering at the edges like remnants of the bedroom vigils. Following the bite's aftermath, the sixth night descends into the suburban bedroom in 1983 with a haze that blurs the edges of reality. Your body heavy on the bed as accumulated exhaustion pulls you deeper. The room's familiar layout dissolving into a veil of strings and shadows. Nightmare emerges as a translucent shadow of the bear animatronic, vicious and ethereal, born from the accumulating wounds of bullying and the bite's impending shadow. His presence maintaining the mechanics with heightened aggression, attacking from the doors, closet, and bed, but with fainter breaths and no audible footsteps in the halls, forcing reliance on raw instinct over learned patterns to detect his subtler approaches. Nightmare's assaults converge from all sides, his shadowy claws extending from halls, closet, even the bed where Freddles once gathered, his translucence making detection harder as he moves with increased speed and subtlety, rendering the flashlight a vital tool against his form in the closet, and bed upon detection via laughs, breaths retreating with a soft click like spring locks resetting. This multifaceted attack, amplified by the arc of trauma from Michael's pranks and the parts room lock, causes instinct to override strategy, your hands moving on autopilot amid overlapping cues that blend into a cacophony. In the deepening haze of Nightmare's End, an optional DLC extension introduces Nightmarion, the puppet master, emerging as the ultimate orchestrator, his elongated form appearing in the familiar positions of halls, closet, and bed-like extensions of forgotten mechanisms. This puppeteer follows the established rules of halls and doors with heightened difficulty, his presence announced through audio cues like eerie laughs that complement standard breaths, manipulating the remnants of prior threats, faint echoes of Nightmare Fredbear's laugh or Freddle's giggles, into surges that demand vigilant checks. The ultimate test culminates in silence, Nightmarion's form withdrawing into the ceiling as tentacles fade, leaving the bedroom empty and still, the house's suburban quiet, a final shroud over the canon of fears. You hover in the void beyond the bite, the hospital's rhythmic beeps dissolving into a spectral haze where fragments of the suburban bedroom reemerge. The year 1983, a fading imprint on the ether, as echoes of Nightmare Fredbear's booming laugh reverberate softly through the emptiness. Michael Afton's presence materializes as a lingering shadow in this void, his bedside apology replaying in loops, voice cracking with guilt as the foxy mask lies discarded in memory, symbolizing his transformation from playful tormentor to a brother haunted by the consequences of his pranks. The plush Fredbear's voice fades to nothingness here, its golden fabric unraveling in your mind's eye, the final promise of friendship, a tether that snaps gently, leaving you adrift in a silence punctuated only by distant whispers from the mechanical suits at the diner. In the ethereal drift of the aftermath, William Afton's absence crystallizes in your memories, his tall frame and purple shirt flashing like spectral glimpses from the diner's back rooms or maintenance areas where blueprints of spring lock mechanisms and endoskeletons lay scattered amid tools that clicked with ominous precision. You perceive the ripple extending to Michael Afton, his remorse from the hospital bedside evolving into a quiet vigilance in this void. The foxy mask's taunts, lunging roars, and locked doors, now transformed into haunting regrets that weigh on him. The stage at Fredbear's stands frozen in your waning thoughts, Fredbear and Spring Bonnie motionless under dim lights, their glass eyes embedded in furred heads reflecting the scattered party hats and bloodstains from the bite, a canon tied to the diner's eventual closure following the 1983 incident. The bedroom's layout etches itself eternally into the void of the aftermath, its halls, closet, and bed standing as spectral symbols of the divided attention that defined survival in FNAF 4's canon mechanics, where left door guarded against Nightmare Bonnie's rasps, right against Nightmare Chica's clatters, and the closet phased Nightmare Foxy's advances. Nightmare's translucent viciousness and shadowy tendrils dissolve last in this ethereal close, hidden elements that bent the rules in the coma's depths, breaths turning to whispers and forms ignoring doors to seep from ceilings, a canon escalation beyond the base game's patterns. You dissolve fully into the lore's enduring echo, the Bite of 83, a pivotal canon event that seeds the broader FNAF horrors. Your second-person journey from stirring in the bedroom to the hospital flatline, now a complete immersion that highlights the child's tragic arc amid family and mechanical betrayals. The silence that follows the bite lingers in the empty spaces of Fredbear's family diner. The year 1983 now a marker of irreversible change, the stage lights dimming on Fredbear and Spring Bonnie as crowds disperse, leaving only the hum of unattended machines and the faint scent of spilled soda mingling with blood. You drift through the aftermath in fragments, the hospital's sterile walls a distant echo of the suburban bedroom's confines, where doors and halls once demanded vigilance, now replaced by the steady drip of IV lines and the murmur of nurses' footsteps. Reflections on the night's surface in the quiet, each vigil from the hall's awakening breaths to Nightmare Fredbear's dominion and Nightmare's shadowy viciousness, a thread woven from daytime taunts and diner glimpses. The suburban house a vessel for manifestations born of bullying and mechanical hearts. Michael's remorse echoes in the hospital's dim light, his voice a bridge to regret that reshaped sibling bonds. The masks discarded like skin shed in the wake of tragedy. As the lore closes, the suburban home stands empty, posters curling on the walls, the flashlight abandoned on the nightstand amid vents that no longer hum with metallic warnings. The year 1983 fading into the annals of FNAF's timeline. You, the viewer drawn into this immersion, emerge with the weight of the child's journey, the fears seeded by family, amplified by animatronics, culminating in darkness, a testament to why survival falters in such a world. The bite's echo serves as the final punctuation, a canon event that seals the narrative without resolution, leaving threats for broader tales. This ending influenced by the progression from awakening to coma, causing the suspense to resolve into introspection, leading to the effect of lingering unease, where the house's betrayal and the diner's mechanical souls remind that nightmares stem from the real. The plush Fredbear's promise a faint light in the void, closing your passage through FNAF 4's unrelenting night with a calm acceptance of its truths, where no viewer lasts the night unscathed. The universe's laws of audio vigilance and precise timing, a testament to vulnerability's grip, bridging personal immersion to the saga's expanse where the bite's shadow ensures that FNAF's nightmare endures in hushed, unending reflection.